So, it's been a while since I got the chance to speak on anything. Um, Being in India was, oh yeah, you see, that's that's not ideal actually. It's better you guys see other things up there. So, being in India was wonderful, very inspiring for us, especially in Vrindavan, but also challenging, really challenging to travel throughout India and keep your health. Oh my God, especially for me, I can't really do that very well in India. I'm just gonna get the verse. Um, 15:3. See if that works. Okay, we'll go here. So, let me see if I can share the screen on here. So we were in India, and it was hard, quite hard, but also very rewarding. And now these are some of the things that actually we kind of learned and realized. We knew this already, but you don't focus on these things. For whatever reason, you get caught up in other things. So I'm going to tell you what those other things were that we were getting caught up in and what actually is most important. So, we already did the Mangalacharana. We offered respects to the gurus and the acharyas and all the great, wonderful personalities, and up to Krishna himself. But we'll just one more time do Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya.
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 Okay. So this is chapter 15, text 3 and 4. And maybe what we'll do is go back and look at 1 and 2. I'll just read the English. The Blessed Lord said, "There's a banyan tree which has its roots upward and its branches down, and whose leaves are the Vedic hymns. One who knows this tree is the knower of the Vedas." And actually, this tree is going to be described. This material world is this banyan tree, described in Bhagavad Gita. And it says, "The branches of this tree extend downward and upward, nourished by the three modes of material nature. The twigs are the objects of the senses," so the things that we're reaching out for in the world with our bodily senses. "This tree also has roots going down, and these are bound to the fruitive actions of human society." So all of the actions that people are doing are actually creating roots deeper and deeper, and actually creating the material world. So now we're going to do our verse, because this is going to key us in on what's really important. These two verses. Na rupamasyeha tato palabhyate. Why don't you give it a Nanto na chadir na cha sampratishta.
Nanto na chadir na cha sampratisha.
Ashvatamenam suvirudhamulam.
Ashvatyaminam suviruddhamoolam
Asanga shastrena dridhena chitva
Ashanga shastrena videna chitva
Tatapadam tat parimargitavyam
Tatapadam tat parimargyayatam
Yasmin gatana nirvartanti bhuyaha
Yasmin gatana nivadanti bhuyam
Tameva chadyam purusham prapadye
Tameva chadyam purusham prapadye
Yatha pravritti prasrita purani.
Yatha pravritti prasrita purani.
Okay, good. We don't have so much time, so we'll not go back and forth so many times like that. But the translation is this: the real form of this tree cannot be perceived in this world. No one can understand where it ends, where it begins, or where its foundation is. It was describing the objects of the senses and the Vedas, and all the fruitive actions of this world compose of this tree, but no one knows where the foundation is. But now Krishna is saying, but with determination, one must cut down this tree with the weapon of detachment. Also, it's mentioned the weapon of knowledge in Bhagavatam. But detachment and knowledge they're synonymous. With knowledge comes detachment, and with detachment comes knowledge. So doing, one must seek that place from which, having once gone, one never returns, and there surrender to that Supreme Personality of Godhead, from whom everything has begun, and in whom everything is abiding, since time immemorial. So, purport by Srila Prabhupada. It is now clearly stated that the real form of this banyan tree cannot be understood in this material world. Since the root is upwards, the extension of the real tree is at the other end. No one can see how far the tree extends, nor can one see the beginning of this tree. Yet one has to find out the cause. I am the son of my father is the son of such and such a person, etc. By searching in this way, one comes to Brahma, who is generated by the Garbhodakshaya Vishnu. Finally, in this way, when one reaches to the Supreme Personality of Godhead, that is the end of research work. One has to search out the origin of this tree, the Supreme Personality of Godhead, through the association of persons who are in knowledge of that Supreme Personality of Godhead. Then by understanding, one becomes gradually detached from this false reflection of reality. And by knowledge, one can cut off the connection and actually become situated in the real tree. Notice Prabhupada also saying by knowledge. The word asanga is very important in this connection because the attachment for sense enjoyment and lording it over the material nature is very strong. Therefore, one must learn detachment by discussion of spiritual science based on authoritative scriptures, and one must hear from persons who are actually in knowledge. As a result of such discussion and the association of devotees, one comes to the Supreme Personality of Godhead. Then the first thing one must do is surrender to Him. The description of that place whence going no one returns to this false reflected tree is given here. The Supreme Personality of Godhead, Krishna, is the original root from whom everything has emanated. To gain favor of that Personality of Godhead, one only has to surrender. And this is the result of performing devotional service by hearing, chanting, etc. He is the cause of this extension of this material world. This is already explained by the Lord Himself. Aham sarvasya prabhava. I am the origin of everything. It's the beginning of the Chaturshloki. 10.8 to 10.11 are the Chaturshloki, the essence of Bhagavad Gita in these verses. That's the first one, Aham sarvasya prabhava. That He is the origin of everything. Therefore, to get out of the entanglement of the strong banyan tree of material life, one must surrender to Krishna. As soon as one surrenders unto Krishna, he becomes detached automatically from this material extension, Before I say anything, I'll just one more time say Om Gyana Timirandasya Gyananjana Shalakya Chakshurin Militam Yena Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha, and then just chant to Prabhupada. We did all the other mantras. Namo Shtapadaya Krishna Pishtaya Bhatale Shpati Bhakti Vedanta Swami Niti Namaste Saraswati Devi Govardhana Kachani Nir Vishesha Shinivari Pasha Desha Tarini. So, and then why not? Jai Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhar Shri Vasari Gaura Bhaktivinda Hare Krishna 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 Hare Hare Rama Hare Rama 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 Hare Hare. So we see in this purport that a lot of really interesting things. How important hearing and chanting in the association of devotees. That's what we're doing right now. We're trying to be devotees here, all of us. And we're working together by hearing and chanting together about Krishna. Prabhupada talked about, how if you're the son of your father and your father, you want to try kind of trace the ancestry. Where is my ancestry coming from? And where is this all coming from? And you trace it back. He says you'll find Brahma, and then you'll find Garbhodakshaya Vishnu, and it's all going to eventually, it's going back to the Supreme Personality of Godhead. That's the origin of existence. That's the origin of everything. He says, Aham sarvasya prabhava, I am the origin of everything. So once we know that, then we should surrender unto Him. That He's the origin of all things. Well, why focus on anything else? This is knowledge of this is gonna this understanding. You're gonna be detached from the false reflection of reality that's going on here. That this is so important: career life, family life, sex life, all kinds of prestige life, food life, or whatever people are focusing on, TV life, whatever it is. You're going to gradually become detached from these things because you see that this is like a false reflection of what reality is. This isn't real, actually. What's real is that the Supreme Personality of Godhead has created this world for some purpose. When we start finding out the purpose, it's not so pleasant. This material world is not the best of the best. It's actually created as a correctional facility for the jiva, for the living entity who's trying to enjoy since time immemorial. And what's that really mean? What's really going on? Why does we want to enjoy? Also because we think we're the center of everything. Or in other words, we think we're God. We think we're the center. Everything is revolving around us and our enjoyment. And so the Supreme Personality of Godhead said, no problem. Here you go. Here's a world. You can all be in it together, and you'll all each think that you're God and everything's revolving around you. But you're all going to bump into each other, thinking each other are God. And in that, it'll be conflict, happiness and distress. We all experience that. Now this is kind of like jnana. This is like knowledge, which is great because this is how you're going to detach from this world. But, he says, one must seek that place from which, having once gone, one never returns. And that's the Supreme Personality of Godhead. And I kind of wanted to describe and talk about a little bit, not so much the jnana. Oh, Deidre, Hare Krishna. Nice to see you. So I don't want to so much talk about the jnana so much because we kind of all know this, right? This isn't news to anyone. The material world kind of is a place of miseries and things like that. But, where's the goal? What are we pointing at here? Why do we even What are we doing spiritual life for? Because there's actually a pure blissful existence waiting for us. And you can begin to access it right now. Like this, you don't have to wait. You don't have to be, let me just get punished and over. It's the material world. Oh. Yeah, we're not a society of just saying, well, it just sucks. This place sucks. What can be done? It all just sucks. That's not actually Krishna consciousness. That can be a very base level of Krishna consciousness that, yeah, the material world sucks. Congratulations for that realization. But that's not actually, that's not very advanced, actually. That just, everything sucks. No, actually, we can describe that which is blissful. And guess what? We can be blissful in that process. And this is bhakti. So I was reading this Sri Krishna Samhita. And it's very nice, actually. And it was, I just finished chapter 1 today. And, Bhaktivinoda Thakur, Didra, Hare Krishna, Nadia, Hare Krishna. So Bhaktivinoda Thakur, wow, long time no see, Nadia. Huh.
Haribol, Nadia.
Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna. No. Okay.
I know. She's like, I haven't seen this guy in so long.
She's like, he's back.
He's back, and he just wants to talk again. So I'll keep it short, Nadia. How about that? So, yeah, he's describing Vaikuntha. Vaikuntha is, what does Vaikuntha mean? Nigna, you have to speak louder. Krishna's abode. Yes. But what's the meaning of the word Vaikuntha? Like Sanskrit a little bit. Yeah, in one sense, yeah. Because it means without anxiety.
Yeah. But how does that translate?
I think Kunta is anxiety and Vaikuntha somehow is beyond anxiety. But I don't know so much. I'm not a Sanskrit scholar.
This computer's tripping me out.
Oh yeah, sorry. I shouldn't have it like that.
Do you guys care if I turn this light on? I'm jet lagged, so I'm falling asleep. Sorry.
No.
I need some light.
So,
Nadia, you don't know about it.
okay.
He's like, no.
Alright, I'm just gonna take this off because I don't think I'll need this anymore. So anyway, he's describing Vaikuntha, and actually that's where Krishna is like really, that's where he's at, He's actually beyond Vaikuntha. But the whole realm is Vaikuntha. And, we mentioned that he kind of created this material world, corrective facility. Yeah, it's kind of unfortunate circumstances, some miseries. We're all experiencing these things. But, if we just dwell on that sucks. And this place sucks. And everything sucks. And that's not spiritual life, Spiritual life isn't that everything sucks. So what do? We focus on, well, what's the goal? Prabhupada said, go home where? Back to Godhead, right? So there's debate whether we're going back or we started there. Where did we start? Not getting into that today. But this Godhead aspect, going to Godhead, this is actually our goal. This is the prayojan, is to go not necessarily to Godhead, but to exist in love with God. That's the goal. And then naturally, when you exist in love with God, you go to be with God, to exchange love. So this is actually where we're trying to go with all of this. And so Bhaktivinoda Thakur is describing Vaikuntha, and he's describing Krishna's place in Vaikuntha. And then it actually, he describes how Krishna is non-different than Vishnu or Narayan. But then he's also is different than Vishnu and Narayan. And so it's mentioned how Krishna's abode is beyond Vaikuntha. By developing relationship with Krishna, you have the opportunity to go beyond Vaikuntha. And there's 5 different ways. And so I'm going to kind of key in on like what the process of bhakti actually is. Because, we don't really, even though we should, it's like super important. We don't focus on like what bhakti is. We focus on a lot of the jnana or the knowledge, like material world sucks, all this stuff, is bogging you down and blah, blah, blah. You're getting bombarded by Maya. And like you are, and it's all happening and it's all true. But if we only focus on that, we don't get a chance to actually do the bhakti. And like the bhakti is like exchanging love, like loving feelings with the Supreme. So in order to do that, we have to understand like, all right, well, what does he do? And where's my place in this? So there's actually ways to do that, ways to map that out. So does anyone know the 5 types of relationships that you can have with Krishna? There's actually more than 5, but 5 is like the 5 blanketed, like everything will fall under these 5. They're called rasas, yeah.
Is a friend?
Friend, yeah, that's nice. That's actually the first, that when you're in friendship with Krishna, then you can actually go to Goloka. So when you have actually that, so friend is that'll take you beyond Vaikuntha. So, what's that?
Father, son.
So parent, you guys, you don't even care about Vaikuntha. You're going right to Goloka. So all right, yes, parent. You could actually like have Krishna as your little child, or your little inferior, your junior who you're looking after. So Krishna likes actually to take this position, and he'll give you a divine set of ignorance, in which you'll forget that he's God. That's one of the specialities of Godhead, is that you don't know he's God at that point. Because if you know he's God, you're just going to be like, oh my God, and that's Vaikuntha. That's what everyone does in Vaikuntha. It's called Aishwarya. Aishwarya Gyan is, like in the 11th chapter, like Parth's in the 11th chapter of Bhagavad Gita, Krishna reveals his Aishwarya, massive universal form, and Arjuna, he was a friend to Krishna. He was his friend, but then he's like, I'm so sorry for being your friend. I should have been your slave, pretty much. But Krishna hates that actually. He doesn't want you to be like his, like, just his slave. He actually wants you to cultivate friendship with him. So okay, and then what's above? What are the other 2? Maybe before we talk about the highest one, which is what was missing. Servant, yeah, just being like being a servant. That's good, When we take initiation, we take a name, like I took Ram Das. That means I'm a servant. Actually, even it could be like a slave. A slave to Ram, the source of all pleasure, God. And then there's a highest one, and then there's the lowest one. Let's talk the lowest. What's the lowest one?
Out of fear.
No, I'll give you a hint. It's Om. What's that?
Bhakti.
No. That's not the lowest one. They're all bhakti actually, but Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. So instead of Shanti, it's Shanta. Shantaras. And that's just being neutral. That's actually being like an enlightened sage. Like, someone who's got all this like knowledge and they know everything about Krishna. But because they know all that stuff about him, they don't feel that they could serve him in any way. So that these are like a lot of the sages. And actually this is where bhakti can begin actually. In order to develop these other rasas, usually the Shanta has to be there. But then, as you get into the next tier, from Shanta you would go to Dasya. Like, alright, well, I know so much about this Supreme Person, and he's so attractive, but maybe I should serve him. So maybe you want to start doing service to him. And then, maybe from the point of service, after some time, you realize like, oh, well, he's just like so wonderful. And he likes to sport around, like, maybe I should do that with him. Maybe I should have friendship with him. And so then you might be interested in cultivating friendship. And then after, that for so long, maybe you'll realize that, hey, it's actually kind of goofy and sometimes he's like doing all kinds of silly things. Maybe I should look after this guy. And then this is the Vatsalya mood. Maybe you're an elder sibling, an elder, so that this is described. And then the highest is what? And that's called what? It's the name of the ras. No, Madhurya. Sweet. It's sweet. It's the dealings between you and Krishna are very sweet. And yes, it's in conjugal love, but there's also ways to be in Madhurya in which you're not necessarily the lover of Krishna, but you're supporting the loving relationships of Krishna. And actually this is the mood of our acharyas. And we're actually, they're all supporting Radharani, who's the ultimate lover of Krishna, and they're just wanting, how can we be the servant of her and assure that Krishna is having these sweet dealings. So it's good to know about these things because this is actually like what bhakti looks like. This is what the devotees actually look like. This is, actually what bhakti is. So, a lot of times we talk about just like knowledge. You're not this body, material world sucks, you're getting bewildered by Maya, you're suffering because of it. But actually, that's not Krishna consciousness in total. It's a very base level. But like, we wanna actually, we all want to feel that love, right? The bhakti. Anyone here is not interested in that part? I actually personally for a long time was not interested in that part. I like theoretically was interested, but like actually in how I dealt with the world in my bhakti practice wasn't really so much interested in the love part. But actually there's a way, in which we can cultivate that. And actually it's very simple. But it's also not simple because we're not simple. And really that way is you just have to want it. Like you actually just have to want to associate with Krishna in love. And he'll give you a way to do that. He'll teach you the pathway to do that. And he'll show you the different works of the acharyas, and then he'll eventually line up a personal teacher. But you have to want it. And you have to act in a way in which, okay, I want to know more. How can I act? What could it look like? Me and my service to Krishna. Because we might not ever think about that. We might not even know what Krishna does, and we don't. We don't actually. So, the best way to know what Krishna does, what do you think? You're going to have to speak louder than Nadia.
Can you repeat that? The best one? What is the question?
If you want to know how you can associate with Krishna, because right, that's we all want that. We all want to exchange love with Krishna. That's the goal of Krishna consciousness. Did you guys know that? So what do you think the best way to, to know how we can associate with Krishna? Chant? I would say no. Not yet.
Follow who already associated.
What?
Follow the footsteps of personalities already associated.
Yes. Yes. We want to follow in the footsteps of those who are associating. But first, before we can even follow those people, we'd have to maybe hear or know about those people. True or false? How can you follow someone you don't even know about? So actually, just hear, Shravanam, hear the pastimes of Krishna. Like, see how Krishna is associating with his devotees. And so actually that's, it's so simple, but like, it's like a plague in ISKCON and the Krishna consciousness movement is we want to talk about all this high-level gyan, and I myself, before I went to India, this is a lot of the stuff I was talking about. But like the simple, very simple thing to be Krishna conscious is we should hear about Krishna. What is Krishna doing? Because what Krishna is doing with his devotees is what you could potentially be doing. And how you can build your actual practice to do those things. So when you are doing your chanting, as Deirdre was mentioning, you have a direction of what you're chanting, because when you're chanting, you're not like many people think it's some big complex prayer. It's not a complex prayer. It's just the names of Krishna. You're just calling out to Krishna. But what you're calling out to Krishna for, that's where it gets complicated, because a lot of times we're calling out for material things in the material world. Maybe some people are calling out with sincerity, like Prabhupada recommended, to how can I be of service to you? But then when we know how we're attracted to being of service, because we're hearing the pastimes of Krishna, and we're attracted to, well, Krishna does this with these devotees, and I think that's really special. I'd like to do that with Krishna. When we're chanting, we can think about that, and that's actually, we can work towards a goal with Krishna. We're chanting with reason, with purpose, not just like, I gotta get my rounds done today. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare. We're not counting. It's not like a number. Like, all right, gotta get to a certain number. The number is important, because with certain number means there's a certain level of sincerity every day. You're putting more towards your relationship with Krishna. But we're not here to count. It's not about hitting a number. It's about the experience and why we're chanting. What are we chanting for? But that actually does take some knowledge, Divya Gyan, of like, what does Krishna do? What would I do? What will I do? What do I want to do with Krishna? And even better, what does this advanced personality see in me? Of how am I serving Krishna? So, I just kind of wanted to talk about that a little bit, that like we should hear about Krishna regularly. We should understand. So that's Srimad Bhagavatam will lead you up to the pastimes of Krishna. It'll give you the pastimes of the other incarnations, and then it'll eventually lead you to Krishna. You're got so much chattier, Nadia, since
She actually said words, huh?
yeah, wow.
I have a question.
Sure.
Some of the things that you've been talking about tonight, it makes me think about the controversy of is bhakti inherent, or does one receive bhakti from enlightened soul, or given provide spiritual instruction. And I guess it's a comment more than a question. I just want to hear your thoughts on it.
Sure. So, it's one set of acharyas says one thing, and then other acharyas in other places have indicated another thing. I don't want to get too much into the controversy of that. But what I will say is that I think it's both. That in one sense, only you can desire the bhakti, right? So in one sense, just by you desiring it, like it's mentioned what this spontaneous bhakti that Lord Chaitanya has come to give, Raganuga it's called. This bhakti, the only prerequisite to have this bhakti it's called lolyam, or greed. You have to have a greed to have it. But by having that greed to have this bhakti, then all the other things, the mercy that you need, the grace, because you can't do it on your own. And it's mentioned, you have to be given the bhakti lata bij. But once you have that greed, somehow or other, we've been all given it. Even if we somehow opened up Prabhupada's books or something like that, or a devotee gave us something. That's how it happened. Somewhere along the line, some devotee touched us, or Prabhupada touched us in some way, and figuratively, I'm saying. So, in one sense, yes, it had to have come from outside. But now you've been given something, and the only way that you can go deeper is now what's in you. And yes, we have to seek for that mercy always outside. We got to be mercy chasers. But at the same time, what you can control is your desire. What do you actually desire? And maybe you can't control that, but you can do it. You can desire. You can want. And when you want Krishna, and when you want bhakti, and when you want the association of those Vaishnavas, these holy names fulfill all your desires. But if we desire material things because we don't know any better, the holy names will give us, they'll cheat us actually and give us those things. But when we desire Krishna and Krishna bhakti and Krishna prem, He'll facilitate the right association, the right circumstances, and the right people from outside to reciprocate with you based on your desire on the inside. So I would say in one sense it's both. In another sense, it does have to come from an external source. But they're also just helping you blossom something that you kind of have. So it's like that. But it's kind of paradoxical. But Krishna is like that. But in order to do that, we need to know what Krishna does with his devotees, and we need to know what it could look like. What are we attracted to about that? If we don't hear about Krishna, if we don't talk about Krishna, and if we only talk about, Maya and how annoying Maya is, which is like we can get lost in that, we can get caught up in the material world kind of sucks type of thing. But what's the spiritual world like? What's the non-sucky world like? And actually, when you're immersed in it, your consciousness is there, you're in it. So if you feel like you're your world is not so pleasant, maybe you're not hearing enough about Krishna. You're not hearing enough about the spiritual world, because when you hear enough about that, it's like, wow, this is enjoyable. Wow, they do that in the spiritual world? I want to do that with Krishna. It's like you get happy, actually. And ultimately, you want that yourself. And you can eventually, through that want, through that desire, Krishna will send you the right person to show you how to work towards that goal. That's what sadhana is. We teach sadhana. Sadhana is what? What's it mean?
Practice. Sadhana is practice, right?
Sadhana, it's come. Many people will indicate that yes, it means it's a practice, right? But the actual literal meaning of sadhana is it's a means to attain one's goal. And the goal is sadhya. And a sadhana is a means to attain one's sadhya. But if we have a sadhana but we have no sadhya, how good of a sadhana? We have no sadhana, actually. We're just practicing towards, we don't know. But if we should have the goal. So if our goal is to exchange love with Krishna, which is bhakti, which is what he recommends in Bhagavad Gita and in Bhagavatam, when that's our goal, then we can actually have a sadhana. And we can learn from our acharyas on how to work towards that. And our chanting can have meaning, actually. And our chanting isn't just saying names or counting how much we said that name or said those names. Our chanting can be directed towards, I'm calling out to you, Krishna, because maybe you just want to know more. I want to know more. Please send me this person so I can know more about you. Or, I really like how you associate with these devotees. How can I associate with you like that? And that could be your call. And not just I gotta get this done, gotta get 16, 8, 4, 2, whatever it is. That's not important, actually. The number is not important. The number is important in one sense, because a certain number means you're spending a certain amount of time really calling out to Krishna. But you could spend hundreds of lifetimes counting, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna. Or you might spend significantly less lifetimes calling with sincerity, and then you could actually be there sooner than you think, which is the goal. So anyway, that's what I wanted to talk about, was that, there's a goal to this whole thing, that we can actually have loving exchange with God, with the Supreme Personality of Godhead. But actually, in that realm, He'll take away that knowledge that He's God, because that makes it less fun. If you just think He's this amazing person that you get to associate with, it makes it a lot better. And then also, actually I'll say it. I won't go into that. I don't want to go too crazy. But maybe let's end there, and then maybe you guys have something you want to talk about, or a question, or...
What you just said, we've been reading this shloka every morning before the 10 offenses. Bahu janma kare yadi shravana kirtana Krishna tabutana paya Krishna pade prema dhana. So that also means if you're just chanting the holy names for lifetimes and lifetimes, or listening about Krishna, doing kirtan, but you don't have the bhav or feeling, or you're just counting the 10 offenses and you're not actually having that loving connection with Krishna, you never gonna attain Krishna.
I mean, that's true. So now how do we, overcome these offenses? And a lot of it is not, it's calling, just pretty much all the offenses are not being sincere. Just a different form of how we're not being sincere in our call to Krishna. But if we're sincere, and we want Krishna for love, and how can I have love with you, Krishna? He'll reciprocate.
He says in the 10th chapter, I will give the devotee the intelligence to achieve me if he asks for it sincerely.
Yes. So, what are we doing about that?
Leading to Krishna for his mercy.
Yeah, hopefully. But I'll say the reason I'm talking about this subject is because I haven't been doing that. My whole Krishna consciousness, most of my Krishna consciousness is, and even now when I'm chanting Hare Krishna, I'm chanting a certain amount every day, and I'm like, wow, but not only if, a very special portion of that time I'm spending chanting is in that really sincere way. And that's hopefully that changes. Hopefully I want that to change, because I can say now, yes, I have this desire, right? Or we can all say right now, yes, we have this desire, we want to exchange love with Krishna. But but it's reciprocated in action. Desire. If you desire, like Udit was telling me, he desired to eat potatoes today. So in order to eat the potatoes, he was in there peeling the potato.
I didn't desire to eat potatoes. I said I won't try to eat potatoes during Ekadashi.
Yes. But even you have some desire to only eat the potatoes during
I can go
Ekadashi.
without eating, not
No problem.
Yeah?
Whatever it is fine.
Yeah. It
But
wasn't a desire, it was just a saying that I usually don't eat anything else.
yeah.
Try to not eat anything else.
Yes.
Then it will be the same like having every day dinner only.
Yes. So no problem. Whatever it is. But if you've got to say I desire to eat potatoes, I'd have to go and peel the potatoes and then bake the potatoes and then maybe spice the potato. It requires action, So if we desire love for God, love for Krishna, there's a certain action. And that means our chanting has to be sincere. Even our reading has to be sincere. Even our other worldly activities that we're doing, how are we connecting this to Krishna? What are we doing to connect it to Krishna? It's not just coming to program on Wednesday or even coming to Mangal Arati every day. It's how am I tuning in to Krishna every moment? But it's a practice. That's where it comes back to the sadhana. It's not like we're expected to be 100% perfect. It's what are we doing to practice this? Who are we learning from to learn these things? That's also exceedingly important. And that was something we found in India that was really nice. For the first time in India, we weren't going to enjoy India. We wanted to actually really learn. That was, I think for the first time, that was a really deep intention of ours. We wanted to go learn from the bhaktas. And we did. We got to learn from them. Which is why maybe my subject matter has changed upon coming back. So, I end there. but you guys have anything else? No?
Nadia's also, okay.
Huh?
Like Nadia's also silent now.
Very sober moment.
Udit, there's Bhagavatam sets somewhere in that library. Can you go grab me one?
What?
Just grab me a Bhagavatam set.
You know where they are? Under the couch?
Where?
In the common room?
What? Because you'll see. So anyway, so anything else? No?
Nice question.
Yeah, you're happy? Anyone in disagreement?
I'm in agreement. It's just like, and it's like light but heavy at the same time. You know? It's like.
This?
Yes.
Yeah.
Bring that in here. Okay. Just no, you hold that. It's yours now, actually. Actually, Rishi, he wanted to get one for Parth, but I sent him the picture of the one we already got for Parth. But I was saying, Udit has been doing really well here, and he's going to New Jersey and all these things. So we've sponsored, got you a
So he's not
Srimad.
kidding. That's actually yours.
Yeah. Yeah, that's your Bhagavatam set.
This you have to send to Prerna, right?
What?
We have more. We also just sent Prerna her box of
Yeah,
Bhagavatam.
she's got a Bhagavatam set we gotta send to her, but now you have one too.
But you have to keep it for now.
Yeah.
We'll
Business.
we'll put it aside for
You
you.
can
I
take the
get
first
it. You
one,
don't, yeah.
I'll
You
get the first
you can take
We got
yeah
Rose Bhagavatam,
you can
Prerna,
take one
Maybe
book
Rishi's
with
over
you.
there in the corner somewhere.
But yes, you can thank Rishi for sponsoring you a Bhagavatam set. So that's one thing.
It's an auspicious way of leaving, actually.
Yeah.
Krishna's arranging.
So is that everything good? Parth, you look like dejected.
No,
Contemplate it.
so deep. I was just thinking what we were doing like last time, as I was talking in the morning, right? Missing the goal and then basically completely deviated from the goal and trying to do just practice without proper goal.
So that's okay, because actually, and myself included, many times in the beginning stages of Krishna consciousness, we don't have a goal, and so we don't have much of a practice. So, but that's okay, because when we hear about a goal and we desire a certain goal, and maybe we think, oh, I want to exchange love with Krishna too. And I'll say maybe one more thing, that actually this highest goal, this exchanging in the Madhurya, or the very sweet conjugal, this is actually our, this may be a little controversial, but I'll say it anyway, even though it is online. This is actually the highest goal that our acharyas came to give. And, when one takes a pure diksha or a Brahmin diksha, you get mantras that indicate such. So this is also something that we should look into. Not that we should try and skip right to these type of pastimes and things, but we should learn about Krishna and also understand that this highest goal, Krishna somehow or other has qualified every one of you to also be eligible, just by maybe hearing and being attracted by these things. So, yeah, that's okay if you feel like maybe you missed the mark. It's actually good if you feel like you missed the mark. When I went to India and I was learning from some of these people, imagine me feeling as someone who's supposedly instructing others towards some goal that I didn't even have a goal, or I didn't have a very clear goal. And so
Now you have a goal?
I don't know if my goal is so like, but I have a better idea of a goal than I did before. So, but yeah, your goal will also be refined, and then your sadhana will get refined. But we need, Teacher had raised a nice question. We need powerful Vaishnavas who can help direct us and who are more experienced and have been also given direction. And this is all parampara, and it's all coming from Krishna himself, and he's sending all his servants on how to bring everyone towards, for those who want to come. For those who don't want to come, they can deal with the material world and how much it sucks and all that stuff, and they can lament about it. But we don't have to exist like that, actually. Like, yeah, it's reality, it's totally how it is here, but like, we don't have to be in the pouting party. I'm just like, oh, well, Parth Prabhu, it's just the material world, just all sucks, sorry, yeah, It doesn't have to be that way.
Actually, these devotees that we were with, they were just so happy. That's what we were taken so back by at first, because they were just like glowing. And they were just like so happy. And we were just like, okay. People exist like this, huh?
So it's just more association with Krishna, and not just chanting. Chanting is important, but we should hear about Krishna's dealings, his pastimes, his qualities, his associates, and all this available. It's all available. None of this is not available to you. So, keep reading. This is where you're going to find this information. But also keep associating and hearing with high quality of Vaishnavas.
When you're in Syracuse, you're kind of limited to.
Yeah, sorry, you've kind of got like us, but
We're also limited here.
yeah, we
We're also
apologize for being the only ones. But there is like a few others wandering around, and we're gonna invite some others too. But yeah, we're trying to also associate with high class Vaishnavas and hear more about Krishna and refine these goals for ourselves as well. But yeah, good luck. Hare Krishna. Thanks anyone who joined online. Maybe we'll do like a small kirtan. My voice is not great.